Greetings, YouTube! The Doctor is in. Dr. Urius Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And I have a new build that I want to talk about. It is it uses the 2024 rules, and it is the 2024 Grappling Monk. A little bit different, though. This is going to be a Monk Cleric build. It's a couple reasons why I want to take some Cleric. I thought about taking Rogue for this class, but there were some things I wanted out of spells that come with the Cleric that I think are going to be very useful for the Monk. So, but first, as always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that like button. If you want to leave a comment or a question, leave a comment or a question. That would be great. All right, so let's get into this. Here we have it. This is the front cover for our thing. And this is going to be the final monk. We're taking this monk all the way to 13th level, and this monk is going to be an 8th level monk and a 5th level cleric. So first off, we are going to be choosing the new Goliath, and this is a big one. They changed the Goliath pretty substantially. We're going to be taking the Goliath, and we're going to be taking the Hill Giant subtype. Let's take a look at that particular, well, it's not a race anymore, it's called a species. So let's take a look at that, because it is pretty awesome. There's a few things they changed about the Goliath, and I think that the Goliath got a bump. So they have this giant ancestry. So you're descended from giants. You choose one. We chose the Hill Giant one, and it says, when you hit a large or smaller creature with an attack, you deal damage to it, you can give it the prone condition. And you get this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses on a long rest. Prone condition when you hit a large or smaller creature and you deal damage to it. That is awesome. That goes with this build massively. Now, there's a few other things like, we're not going to really go into these, but you can choose some of these. Some of these other ones do damage. The other thing you get starting at level 5 is you can change your size to large as a bonus action, which lasts for 10 minutes or until you end it. And for that duration, you have advantage on strength checks, which is okay. And speed increases by 10, which goes perfectly with the monk, because the monk is really fast. And once you use this trait, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. The big thing out of this is that because you're large, it changes what you can grapple, which means you can grapple things that are huge. The other thing you get is you get advantage on one ability check to end a grapple condition, so we can use that for, we're taking acrobatics, so we could use that for acrobatics. So no one is going to be grappling this character. Okay, so that is the first thing that we took, was Goliath Hill Giant. And then we took Athlete as our background feat. We got Athletics and Acrobatics. Now, because this is a non-2024 background, we get to choose an origin feat. We chose Tavern Brawler, took a +2 to Dex and a +1 to Wisdom. And I want to look at the build that we took for our attributes, because that's really important. We took the 27 by, and we started with a 15 Dex and a 15 Wisdom and 8 Charisma. We're not going to be using Charisma very much. A little bit of Intelligence. I would prefer to have a higher Constitution, but 12 is what we're getting, and we're starting with a 10 Strength. So not a huge Strength, but we really don't need Strength. So we're going to end up with a 17 Dexterity and a 16 Wisdom out of that. So we also took Tavern Brawler as a feat, so let's look at that real quick. And there's a pretty specific reason why I took that one. Go all the way down here. Tavern Brawler. There's a new one, and the new one, I think the biggest reason that I did it is because of the damage roll. So whenever you roll damage for your unarmed strike, and the monk is all unarmed strikes, you re-roll a 1. You got to use a new roll though. The other one is this push. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike as part of an attack action on your turn, you can deal damage to the target and also push it 5 feet away. You can only use this once per turn, but that stacks up with a couple other pushing abilities that this guy has. The enhanced unarmed strike, I don't really care about. That's for non-monks. And then the improvised weaponry, that could be used, but probably not. But, I mean, this is what we got. It was between this and kind of lucky. So we took that instead. Okay. And here's our base array. So we've got Strength 10, Dex 17, Con 12, Intelligence 11, Wisdom 16, Charisma 8. Take the monk robes and 50 gold. You can buy a backpack and a kit or whatever. We're a first level monk, 16 armor class, 9 hit points, +2 proficiency bonus. Now, what do we get as a first level monk? So, well, this comes with the Hill Giant. That's the Hill Giant ability. We get a D6 for our martial arts dice. So if we look at the monk, here's the monk class here. We get martial arts and unarmored defense. We get a D6 for our martial arts die. And so we get proficiency with simple weapons and martial weapons that have the light property. You gain the following benefits while you're unarmed or wielding a monk weapon and are not wearing armor or a shield. So you can make an unarmed strike as a bonus action. Okay, and you can roll 1d6 in place of the normal damage of your unarmed strike or monk weapons, and then this die changes as you go levels. Dexterous attacks, you can use your dexterity modifier instead of your strength for attack and damage rolls for your unarmed strikes and monk weapons. In addition, when you use the grapple or shove option of your unarmed strike, so remember they changed that a little bit, you can use your dexterity instead of your strength, so that's a big one. So we get martial arts and unarmored defense. Unarmored defense here is while you are not wearing armor or wielding a shield, your base armor class is 10 plus your dexterity and wisdom modifier. So that is going to be 3 for now and 3 for now, which is 16. Okay, so that is first level. And the DC for our grapple right now is equal to our 8 plus our proficiency modifier, plus our dex bonus. So that is a 13. So when we're going to track that throughout this, because this is going to be a grappling monk. Now, if you have not looked at the new rules, if you go to the Player Handbook 2024 and you go here to the rules glossary, and you go down here to unarmed attack. We want to go to unarmed strike. So, whenever you use an armored strike, you can choose one of the 3 abilities. You get the damage, and for us, it's a D6 plus our dex modifier. We can grapple, and there's the DC, 8 plus your strength modifier. We substitute dex and proficiency bonus. Or you can shove for 5 feet. So we probably want, or you can knock them prone. And then the DC is 8 plus your strength modifier, which we change that, I believe, to a dex modifier. So we could knock somebody prone. We can do that anyway automatically with the Hill Giant ability. And then grapple. So grapple is the big one. So we've got a DC for that. And once they're grappled, they get the grapple condition. And we've gone over this before, so we'll just go over it real quick. And a creature must have a hand free. So we're not going to wield any weapons. So 1 grapple per hand. Some stat blocks and games effects allow creatures grappling with the tentacle, blah, blah. And then escaping a grapple. A grapple creature can use its strength, athletics, or dexterity athletics against the grapple's escape DC. So this can be targeted by hex, but we're not going to be doing that. The condition also ends if the grappler is incapacitated. So that's the thing. And if you're grappled, your speed is 0. You have disadvantage on attack rolls against any target other than the grappler, and the grappler can drag you around, but it costs twice as much to do that. Okay. So that's kind of the grapple. So we're going to pay attention to that grapple DC because this monk can grab things, throw them down. Eventually, he's going to be able to hit and grab and grapple at the same time. Okay. So for second level, we're going to be a monk. Our hit points go to 15. Now we get 2 focus points, and we get Flurry of Blows. So let's take a look at that. Right here. Monk's Focus, Unarmored Movement, and Uncanny Metabolism. And then we get our 2 points. There's our Unarmored Movement, so we get a +10. So Monk's Focus means we get these focus points. And we can do different things with the focus points. So we can expend a focus point, and we can now make 2 unarmed strikes as a bonus action. So we can do our primary hand and then spend a focus point to do 2 attacks. We're still into D6. We can do patient defense, so we can disengage as a bonus action. Or we can spend a focus point and disengage and dodge as a bonus action. Or we can do Step of the Wind, which allows us to dash as a bonus action. So we can actually have 3 moves around now. We can move, we can dash as our action, and we can dash as a bonus action, which is great, and they can cover lots of ground. And then alternatively, you can expend 1 focus point to take the disengage and dash action as a bonus action. So we can do all that. We've got unarmored movement, which is +10, and we've got uncanny metabolism. So when we roll initiative, we can regain all of our focus points, and then we roll a martial arts die, regain that number of hit points equal to your monk level plus the number rolled. And then we can only do this once per long rest. So that is a thing. Okay, so we get all that. Our grapple DC is still 13 here because none of our proficiency bonus has not gone up and none of our stats have gone up. 3rd level. Hit points go to 21. We take another level of monk. We're up to 3 focus points, and we get our deflect attacks and our subclass, which is going to be Warrior of the Open Hand, and our DC for our grapple and monk abilities is 13. So let's take a look at deflect attacks because they've changed that a little bit. So when an attack roll hits you and its damage includes bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing, you can take a reaction to reduce the attack's normal damage. So this is any attack. It's not ranged attack anymore. It's any attack. And then we reduce the damage by 1d6 plus our dex modifier and our monk level, which is a lot. Right now, that's 1d10 plus 3 plus 3. So it's 1d10 plus 6. Eventually, it's going to be a lot. If we reduce the damage to 0, we can expend a focus point and redirect some of the attack's force if you do so choose a creature within 5 feet of yourself. If the attack was a melee attack, or the creature you can see within 60 feet if it isn't behind total cover. If it was a ranged attack, creature must make a dexterity saving throw or take damage equal to 2 rolls of your martial art die plus your dex modifier. Damage is the same dealt by the weapon, so it's just kind of a little extra thing. And then we got our monk subclass. We're taking Warrior of the Open Hand. We get the Open Hand technique. So whenever we hit something with a attack granted by Flurry of Blows, so remember we can attack once with our primary attack when we take the attack action, and then we can use a focus point to attack twice using Flurry of Blows with a bonus action. If we hit, we can addle them. That means they can't take attacks of opportunity in the start of its next turn. And we could push them. They got to succeed on a strength saving throw, which right now is a 13, which is not great. And you push them 15 feet away. That's pretty big. And then, or topple, the target must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or have the prone condition. So we could knock them down. Okay. All right. So we get all of that, and our grapple monk ability DC is still 13. And so that goes along with some of these. Okay. At 4th level, our hit points go up to 27. Proficiency bonus is still +2. We're up to 4 focus points. We get an ability score improvement or a feat. We're going to take the ability score improvement, and we're going to increase our dex to 19. You will notice that our armor class here is 16, and our armor class now goes to 18 because we're going to get another 1 from this bump to dex, and we're adding a cloak of protection, so that's another 1. So now it becomes 18. That also gives us a +1 to all of our saving throws. And then our grapple monk abilities go to a DC 14, which is great. Okay. At 5th level, we're taking another level of monk. Our proficiency bonus goes to +3, which increases a lot of different stuff. So our hit points go to 33. AC is still 18. We got 5 focus points. DC for grapple and monk ability checks is now a 15. Our martial arts die changes to a 1d8. We get an extra attack when we take the attack action. So now, when we take the attack action, we go 1-2, and then we can spend a bonus point to do Flurry of Blows and go 1-2, or 3-4, however you want to count it. So we can do 4 attacks around now at 1d8 plus our dex modifier, and we get Stunning Strike. So let's take a look at Stunning Strike to see if they have changed Stunning Strike at all, which they really haven't. So once per turn, when you hit a creature with a monk weapon or an unarmed attack, you can expend a focus point to attempt a Stunning Strike. The target must make a con save on a which is a 15, right? No, this is a no, this is not a 15 because this is based off of our wisdom right now. So I believe it is a 14. On a failed save, the target has the stunned condition until the end of your next turn. On a successful save, and this is the difference right here. This is a big one. On a successful save, the target speed is halved until the start of your next turn, and the next attack roll made against the target before then has advantage. So it's best to use Stunning Strike on the first hit, and then if they make their saving throw, you can hit them again with advantage and try it again. And you could kind of, as long as you got points, you could chain all those together and eventually hopefully get them stunned. So this is limited by how many focus points you got, but that's a big one because the old Stunning Strike didn't have anything at all on a successful save. So I think that's pretty massive. And so we got the extra attack. And so at level 6, we're going to switch up a little bit. We're going to take a level of Cleric. And we're going to take the Thaumaturge. So our hit points go to 39. Our proficiency bonus is still +3. We still have 5 points. We have a DC of 15 for grapple and monk abilities. And now we're first level Cleric. So we get 4 Cleric spells at a DC 14 for anything that requires a saving throw. We get, because we're a Thaumaturge, we get an extra cantrip. So we took Guidance, and then we get 3 more. We take Toll the Dead, Resistance, and Light. And then for our 4 Cleric spells, we're taking Bane, Bless, Protection from Evil, and Shield of Faith. I'm taking Bane because if we're using Grapple or some of these other things, it requires saving throws, and we want to have a penalty on those saving throws. Not as good as some of the other builds I have that do penalties, but still pretty good. Bless helps us hit. Protection from Evil is going to help us against aberrations or fiends or things like that. They have disadvantage. And then Shield of Faith really hasn't changed, so we can take a look at that as well. So for a Cleric, we're getting Spellcasting in our Divine Order, which is Thaumaturge, 3 cantrips, 4 prepared spells. We get 2 slots. And for spells, Shield of Faith really didn't change. There is a new one. Shimmering Field surrounds a creature of your choice, which will be usually me, granting +2 bonus to AC for the duration, which is 10 minutes of concentration, and it is a bonus action to use it. Now, our bonus actions are pretty precious, so there are going to be some economy that needs to be considered in our actions in this. So, but that would bump us to a 20, which is pretty good for a 6th level character. And we have, a lot of ability to get away with focus points. But right now we got 5 focus points. At 7th level, we're going to take another level of Cleric, 2nd level. And our AC is going to go to 20 now. And our hit points are 45. And it's going to 20 because we're adding Bracers of Defense. Focus points and grapple monk abilities didn't change. Now we get Channel Divinity. We have 2 uses of that, Divine Spark and Turn Undead. We get 1 use back every short rest, and then we get both uses back after a long rest. We get 5 Cleric spells now. Our DC is still 14. So we're adding Command onto this as well, because that's another one where I can make something just go prone, and those are always good. At 8th level, we're taking another level of Cleric. AC 20, hit points 51. Focus points in Monk DC didn't change. We're taking the Trickery Domain, which has changed a little bit. So for a 3rd level Cleric, we just get the Cleric subclass. We do get an extra prepared spell, and we do get 2nd level spells. So let's take a look at Trickery Domain, because it is in the 2024 book. We get Blessing of the Trickster, so as a magic action, you can choose yourself. It's probably going to be us, because we're pretty good at stealth. That's one of our skills. or a willing creature within 30 feet would have advantage on dexterity stealth checks. The blessing lasts until you finish a long rest, or you use this feature again. So we can just use that, and we could have it on all day. So we're always going to have advantage on our stealth checks. That's awesome. We can also invoke duplicity, which means as a bonus action, we can expend a use of our channel divinity. We can create a visual copy of ourself in an unoccupied space within 30 feet. And it's intangible, it doesn't occupy space. It lasts for 1 minute, but we can dismiss it early, or if we're incapacitated, it goes away. And we can cast spells from it. That's okay. That's really not what we want it for. We want it for this distract ability, which means we have advantage on attack rolls against creatures when both you and your illusion are within 5 feet of a creature that can see the illusion. So it confuses them, and we get advantage on attacks. That's really what we want. We also get access to some pretty good spells at this point. Charm Person, Disguise Self, Invisibility, Pass Without Trace, which we'll be taking. So you can see here we took Pass Without Trace, we took Hold Person, and Invisibility. We've got 6 prepared spells. Our DC is still 14. And we got rid of Protection from Evil and Command. Those were just extras. We'll pick one of those up later on. Pass Without Trace still gives a +10. Hold Person is still the way it is, and so is Invisibility. So this one is a good one because we can paralyze something and just take it down. All right, at 9th level, we're going to take another level of Cleric, and our proficiency bonus changes to a +4, so now our DCs go up. And we're going to add the Grappler feat, which gives us a +1 to Dexterity. Now our Dex is now 20. So because both this and our Dex went up, our DCs for Grapple and Monk abilities went to 17. And the DC for our Cleric spells went from 14 to 15. We're going to add an Eldritch Claw, which will give us a +1 to hit and damage on our unarmed attacks, or unarmed strikes, and causes them to be magical. We've got 7 spells, and so we're going to add back Command. That's basically all we're adding in here. Now let's look at the Grappler feat and why I took the Grappler feat, because that's another kind of really important thing. So if we go up here to feats and we go down to Grappler, there is a new Grappler feat. So we get a choice. We took the Dex bump. We can punch and grab. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike as part of an attack action on your turn, you can use both the damage and grapple option. You can use this benefit only once per turn. So we can hit them and grab them at the same time, which we've got a DC of 17, which is pretty good for our grapple. If we got that Bane on, then they've got a penalty. We have advantage on attack rolls against creatures that are grappled by us. And we do not spend extra movements to move a creature grappled by us if the creature is our size or smaller. And remember, we can be large. So I can actually grab large creatures and drag them around at full speed. And I'm clocking out right now, I believe, at a speed of 45 feet per round. That's massive. That is awesome. Okay. And we just kind of rearranged some spells. We added Command. That was all we did. Okay, so at 10th level, we're adding our last level of Cleric because I want 3rd level spells. So for that, we get Turn Undead, Sear Undead, which I could care less about. We now have 9 prepared Cleric spells. Before we had 7. Now we have 9. We're adding Spirit Guardians and Hypnotic Pattern. Hypnotic Pattern is one of our Trickery domain spells. Spirit Guardians is the big one, and they made a big change to Spirit Guardians. A big change. So let's take a look at that one. Spirit Guardians. Here it is. So, spirits around you, 15-foot emanation. Emanation is the new thing now. If you are good or neutral, their spectral form is angelic or fey. If you're evil, they appear fiendish. When you cast the spell, you can designate creatures that are unaffected by it. That's the same. any other creature's speed is halved. That's the same in the emanation. Whenever the emanation enters a creature's space, and whenever a creature enters the emanation or ends its turn there, it has to make a wisdom saving throw. So I could walk up to a creature, and the emanation is going to enter its space. It's got to make a save. I could hit it, push it out of the emanation, and then walk back up to it again, and it'll have to do it again. So on a failed save, the creature takes 3d8 radiant damage or 3d8 necrotic damage. On a successful save, it takes half as much. Creature makes this save only once per turn. So actually we can't, because it's only once per turn, we can't do that. But it's once per turn. So somebody else can push them back into it. And then if we upcast it, which we won't be doing, we'll only be adding it. So because it's only once per turn, I can't walk up to it, have it make the save, then that's it. That's my turn. But the next turn, if it gets away, somebody can push it back in, and then it'll have to do it all over again. And you can push it in and out over and over and over again. So still a great spell. Still an absolutely great spell. But we want that spell because if I grapple them, their speed is 0, and if they're stuck at the end of their turn, they're going to take damage every round, and they won't be able to get away, which is awesome. That is just fantastic. Okay, and I could technically, I could walk away from them, walk back up to them, do the damage again, punch and grab, and hold them. At the end of their turn, they'll take the damage again because it's once per turn. And then do it all over again on my turn because I have so much speed going on. And then we took Hypnotic Pattern, obviously just to fascinate things, to lock them down, and that'll give me, advantage. A lot of this build is about getting advantage on attacks. Okay. At 11th level, we're going to switch back over to Monk. We're taking our 6th level of Monk. Our proficiency bonus is still a +4. Now we go to 6 focus points. Our DC is still 17. We get a +15 feet to movement, which is massive because our base move, I believe, for the Goliath is 35. I think it's 35 for the Goliath. The base move for a Goliath is 35 feet. So now we're at 50 feet of movement, which is awesome. We get Empowered Strikes and Wholeness of Body, and those are just okay. They're not fantastic. So Empowered Strikes means we deal force damage or normal damage, and we get Wholeness of Body, which is our next ability in Warrior of the Open Hand. So as a bonus action, we can roll our martial arts die. We regain a number of hit points equal to the die plus our wisdom modifier. We can use this a number of times equal to our wisdom modifier, and we gain all uses after a long rest. So that's just okay. It's a little bit, it's like a second wind for the fighter. It's just okay. Spells don't change at all. Those spells are going to be changing. We're not taking any more levels of Cleric. So we're level 6. So at a level 12, we are taking another level of Monk. We got 7 points. We get Evasion. So that's a big one. And if we go back up here, Evasion works like Evasion. So when you're subject to an attack that allows you to make a dex saving throw, to take only half damage, you instead take no damage. If you succeed on the saving throw and only half damage, you fail. You don't benefit from this feature if you have the incapacitated condition. So half or none for dex saves, which is great. That's a great ability. That's really all we need. We got 7 focus points, and the spells don't change. Our armor class is 21 at this point because our dex went up. And at 13th level, we're going to be taking another level of Monk, so we'll be Monk 8. Focus points go to 8. Our proficiency bonus goes to +5, so a lot of things are going to go up. And we get a feat, so we're going to take an attribute increase. We're going to increase our wisdom now. So now our dex is 20 and our wisdom is 20. And we're going to read a Tomb of Understanding. We're going to try and get that. That's what we're working to, and we're going to read that to get our dex. I'm sorry, our dex went from 16 to 18 with the attribute increase, and then with the Tomb of Understanding, it's going to go to a 20. Spells don't change, and so that increases our AC even more because our wisdom adds to our AC. So let's take a look at the final character here in D&D Beyond. Here it is right here. So we've got 81 hit points. That's not great for a 13th level character, but it's not bad. It's kind of average. We're going to have a dex of 20, a wisdom of 20, 50 foot of movement. With a 23 armor class, we've got a +5 to initiative, which is great. We have a +11 to our dex save. That is awesome, which means with evasion, forget it. We got a +10 to stealth, and we're almost always going to have advantage on our stealth rolls because of our Blessing of the Trickster. We're at a +11 to hit with our unarmed strikes. We do 1d8 +6. If we hit with every single one of those, and we're probably going to because we can knock things prone pretty easily, which we get advantage on all attacks if they're prone. And if we grapple them, we get advantage on all attacks. So we're going to be hitting pretty easily. That's about, we hit with every one of our attacks, so we get 2 attacks. Flurry of blows, 2 attacks. That's 42 points of damage on average. It's okay. It's not the best damage, but it's okay. But this build is there to hold things down and just pummel them and keep, like, you go in, you get Spirit Guardians going, you knock them prone, you grapple them, you go after them, and then you start beating them, and you start doing the damage from Spirit Guardians. So we've got our Channel Divinity twice per day, which is another thing that will give us advantage if we have our Invoke Duplicity, if we have our illusion next to us. We've got our Stunning Strikes. We've got our Hill Giant Hills Tumble to knock things prone 5 times per long rest. Invoke Duplicity. Stunning Strike, Unarmed Strikes. We've got Wholeness of Body. We've got Grappling, which when we hit, we can grapple 1 time. That's awesome. We've got the Shove. We've got Flurry of Blows. We can do Addle, Push, and Topple. There's Invoke Duplicity Move. We've got Patient Defense, Focused Patient Defense, Step of the Wind, Focused Step of the Wind, Unarmed Strike, Wholeness of Body, which is just okay. All great stuff. And then we've got 3 magic items that we are attuned to: Bracers of Defense, Cloak of Protection, and an Eldritch Claw, and we've read a Tomb of Understanding. And the DC for our grapple and all of our spells is now 18, which is pretty good. That's pretty good for a 13th level. And if we hit them with Bane, it's going to be even better. And the save for Bane, I believe, is a Charisma save. So it's either Charisma or Wisdom. Doesn't matter. That's a hard one to do for most creatures. And then they'll be taking a -4 on all saving throws. So grappling will be pretty easy. Hold Person might be pretty easy. Spirit Guardians will be pretty easy. So all good stuff. So, all right, that is the video that I have for everybody today. I hope everybody enjoyed. I hope everybody enjoyed the build, and I will catch everybody later.